Hey everyone, today I'm in Aurora, Texas, and I'm about to show you something that is different. The Aurora City sign has a UFO on it, and we're here to check out the grave, or supposed grave, of an alien. Stay tuned. So what's interesting about this town is, other than this, there really aren't too many other things like you would see in Roswell, New Mexico. They have this UFO here and an alien that says peace. And then there's American flag and a windmill. And there's a story involving the said UFO and windmill that happened right here in the 1800s. So just to the right of this entrance sits a historical marker. And this marker gives a little bit of history on the cemetery, talks about some of the earlier graves in here date back to the 1860s. And then it says an epidemic which struck the village in 1891 added hundreds of graves to this plot area called spotted fever by the settlers. This disease is now thought to have been a form of meningitis, so there's quite a few people from that. And then also inside the cemetery, it says there's an infant Nellie Burris with its often quoted epitaph, "As I was so soon done, I don't know why I was begun." This site is also well known because of the legend that a spaceship crashed nearby in 1897, and the pilot killed in the crash was buried here. It also says, struck by epidemic and crop failure and bypassed by the railroad, the original town of Aurora almost disappeared, but the cemetery remains in use with over 800 graves. Veterans of the Civil War, World War I and II, and the Korean and Vietnam conflicts are interred here. Let's go in and have a look here. So taking a quick look around the cemetery, it really is well maintained. Here you can see some older markers, and they're obviously broken. You can see the cracks in there and even a missing piece on the one on the left. That one says Elizabeth A., wife of W.B. Harrison, born July 14th, 1815, and died October 23rd, 1885. Just a little bit of cemetery history for you, or at least what some of the symbols mean. These hands shaking up here are pretty interesting. Usually means that the husband, died first, and then the wife died later, and the husband is in heaven and welcoming his wife into heaven, taking her hand to either show her around or maybe even open arms welcoming her. And that's what that is. This is a man's hand on this side and a woman's hand on the left side. So like I said, it means that the husband died first. And when you look over here, that's exactly what happened here. W.B. Harrison, a Baptist minister, born August 6, 1813, and died March 16, 1884. Pretty interesting. You can see several other markers where they've put them in cement just to kind of preserve the original marker. And it's a big, thick piece in this back part because this original part probably wasn't all that thick. That's probably the actual thickness of it right there. A lot of old historic markers, and really they're in pretty good shape. That says 1904 to 1914, so really just someone that was about 10 and a half years old. And Clarence Harmon. And then the gates are opening up to heaven, and there's a dove flying there. A lot of interesting markers. I love the sidewalks when you see cemeteries like this. That way you know where to walk without being disrespectful. Here we have a marker that has been broken off and just laid up against it. Not only has the headstone, but there's also a foot marker there. And there's a larger marker that's kind of laying down that's been inset into cement. So let's take a look around and find the real reason why we're here. So right by this other entrance of the cemetery, you'll notice this tree that bends out to the side. This is the location that we're looking for, and the location of an alien. I know that's kind of strange. It may be the only location in the US anyways, or anywhere that I know of, where supposedly there's an alien buried here. If you look, there's a lot of mementos that are left here, and all kinds of little signatures and wordings and gifts that people have brought. But this actually made the newspaper on April 19th, 1897 in the Dallas Morning News. And supposedly, according to that article, a mystery airship came sailing out of the sky, smashing through the windmill that belonged to Judge J.S. Proctor before crashing to the ground. And once it hit the ground, it also damaged his flower garden. And the pilot of that mystery airship, or UFO, had died. And people actually dragged the body or the being out of the crash site. And they gave him a Christian burial here in this cemetery. Now, the original location of his grave within this cemetery is probably somewhere in this area, but it's unsure of where. There was an original marker here where the locals etched a UFO in the marker, and it has been stolen. And then I think they've had another marker here, and it has been stolen as well. So all that sits here marking the spot is this rock with all the mementos on it. But anyways, there's been several UFO enthusiasts that want to dig the body up here and do some testing on it. But the problem is a Texas state law prevents that from happening. You see, you have to have permission from the next of kin. And since we don't know who this is or who the next of kin is, whether or not they're from this planet or where they're from, you can't get permission from the family. So here it sits, just sort of a local legend here that everyone sort of knows about. Interesting to see what all is here. Lots of writing on this rock and coins. People have burned candles. Here you see kind of a ninja guy. All sorts of like gas cards, little trinkets and mementos, Allen wrenches, Blistex, pins, jacks, Texas Lottery, Windstar Casino, which is in Oklahoma, erasers, hair pretties, berets. Look at that cassette adapter there. I mean, people have come from all over. There's some different things that are here that have been here for a while, like these reward cards from Mazio's, and I don't know if that's Pizza Hut or what. There's a beanbag there, and St. Patrick's Day stuff. But then you see some crosses and some little spaceships and stuff like that. All sorts of things. Someone even left a miniature red flyer wagon. Googly eyes all over, and some of the things have fallen down to the side. But anyways, this is visited by a lot of people. As you can see, the ground is pretty well worn right here. But the time period, it didn't really freak people out. Back then, I mean, they'd never seen anything like this. So some of the people took some of the spacecraft and some of the pieces, and where those are at, who knows? I don't know if they recycled it into an old barn, or, you know, back then you kind of used everything. But these people weren't freaked out by some kind of spaceship, aircraft, or whatever it was that crashed. I mean, they just acted like it was an everyday, normal, no big deal, and buried it here. So this is before all of the people that are UFO enthusiasts came around, or people that might have been scared by them, or, you know, kind of how they did in the 50s, where there was old shows on them and people were freaked out. But I don't know, do you guys think this is real? Leave me a comment below on what you think, because this is certainly different. I don't know if you guys know of any other alien graves. Leave a comment on that below too. This is the only one I've ever heard of, and it's the reason why most people come to this cemetery, although there's a lot of other history here as well. So there is one more thing that's a little interesting in this cemetery, and it sits right by this little shelter here. Here you will see the family plot area of Matt and Jetty Naylor, if I'm saying that correctly. Matt passed away in 1942 and Rhetty passed away in 1989. But the interesting part is this little marker right here. Let me show you up close. You can see where there's sort of a foot marker that says Matt, but in the very back it says Loretta, the world's talking bird, from 1958 to 1963. So that marker is designating the spot of a bird. What kind? I don't know. I assume some sort of parrot that Rhetty had. I guess after her husband, she decided to get a pet or something. Or maybe someone else in the family did. Like I said, this sits right back here by this shelter if you're looking for it. Notice this marker here. It says Ellen, wife of George Bledsoe, born 1810 and died in 1850. And it says George Lawson Bledsoe, a Georgia native, a carpenter and cotton gin builder, came to Texas in 1834. A veteran of the Texas Revolution and the Battle of San Jacinto, he received a pension for his military service and patented land grants in Brazoria, Cook, Jack, Fannin, and Wise counties. He was married to the former Ellen Baldry, and he had 5 children. Bledsoe is buried here along with his daughter Georgia and brother-in-law Preston. Ellen Bledsoe and the couple's other 4 children are buried in Fannin County, probably in Bledsoe Cemetery near Dial. Pretty interesting. Here we have Corporal Wren, Company A, 57th Alabama Infantry, Confederate States Army. You can see someone has placed a flag there. A lot of interesting markers in here. That one right there is another one where the hands are shaking, and it's exactly like the other one. There is one with a fence around it, which I love. All up underneath these cedar trees. Just sort of a family plot. Nice looking markers there. And I love the contrast right now. All of these stones are wet because it's been raining. But pretty interesting. You can see here where a piece from the top has broken off from up there. And it's been placed right beside it. So thanks for watching this episode. I know it's a little different. It's not every day you see an alien buried in a cemetery or a talking bird. But I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for watching Rhetty. Please subscribe and like, or we will abduct you.